A viewer asked me a question about this stand I made for under my lift, and he asked me this part here, what did I make it out of? What was it that I used? And so I'm going to show, I'm ready to take the bike down off the lift, and then I'll get this out and I'll show it, and I'll show what I used for this, because I think he wants to make one. And this bike, in last, I'd say 2 weeks, almost every day this has been on the lift. I had it on a lift, I did all that work on the one side, I took it down and then I changed it up. I think I had it over here, and then I brought it over here because I took it for a ride, and I brought it back in. I put it on the lift so I could work on some on the other side. So let me take this down off the lift, get this out, and I'll show, because I have one, of what this was when I first started. Anytime I'm going to make something, I go through my shop and I go down the cellar and I keep so much stuff. I see what I have to make what I want. And I had some of these, and I took one and I looked it up on the internet. This cost about $52, so with tax you're talking $55. And that's what I used that would make my project the way I wanted it. And it's a telescoping adjustable floor jack is what they call it. You can call it a flexible post jack, and you can find them on at Lowe's, Home Depot, any kind of supply store like that where you buy your lumber and all that stuff. These are usually put in a basement and then put up, and it's different lengths from 4 foot 8 inch to 8 foot 4 inch. It has different holes in it that you can adjust it to your height. You get it close, then you use the crank to take it on up. And it's to support the floor better. If you have a place it's a little, like the floor gives a little bit, or maybe it's sagging, you can jack it up with that, and then you can just leave it in there. But I thought of what I have, and I'll take the parts out and show and describe how I made it. But I took this out and I laid it all out, and I thought I could know. And plus, it's good to have a welder to put the thing together, because everything's separate. And you see mine in the video I show, so I can pick it up with one hand to use it. So if you don't have a welder, you could make this up. And there's welding shops around, and there's people that do that. Hell, if you know somebody that does welding, you know, get them to you just have to tack weld it to hold it together to pick it up. It's not making it any stronger, it's just holding the pieces together. And usually they'll charge you a couple bucks. I mean, not very much at all. You know, you get it done, I might say, $5, you know. Let me get it out of the box. And I have this one. There's two of these, and when I was working on my son's porch roof, we blocked it up and I put new posts under it. It needed new posts, so I always usually have a couple of these. I don't see the, yeah, it's down inside. There. It's kind of stuck. There. We're stuck on the bolt. Should have took it out first. Okay, you have these two pipes, these two bolts to go through these holes to adjust it, and then this one with the big holes, the bigger pipe, goes on the bottom. There's a couple plates here too. So when you're using it, you set one of these plates, you'll see how it has this part raised up. That's so the pipe don't slide off of it. So you want it setting on the floor like that. Then this big pipe, if you're using it in house, goes like that. It sets on top with the holes on the top. Now I'll put it down here so you can see. Now if you're using it in the house, you put it this way. This is a smaller pipe. It goes in here. There. Now you can see, you get it up close to your ceiling, you take one of these, and you find that hole in the smaller pipe. I'm gonna have to lean it over to find it. Bring it back up. Okay, there it is. So line it up with your holes and slide it back down in. And we'll say if we're going to be using it there. You put this one through here. Now this is if you're putting it in your floor. Then you'd put the other one through here, put the nuts on, then you can set it up. Once you have it up in the air, you take this back out. Get. Okay, so then say we have them two pieces together, we're putting it in the basement. Then this plate, you have another one with the pushed out part down, so don't slide off the pipe. Then so you can put some screw bolts up through it like you put it on in your beam. And then this goes under it. This piece fits the small pipe, then this on top. Well, I didn't put that on. Okay, so here's the way we're going to use it. You want to cut your pipe to make your thing, and you can see if I bring mine up here, you're going to use the plate on the bottom, and you're going to use the small pipe because it fits this part. So you can see I have the plate, I have the pipe, this is this part. Then I took these two bolts. It has two flats where you can get a wrench, like a big crescent wrench, and use it. Every time you use it, you're going to have to go get a wrench. So I simply took these two bolts and I welded one on this side and the other one on the other side. Now, with those welded, I can just take it like this and work it once I put it under there. Next thing, you're going to need a cross piece to go under those two lifts on the lift itself. What I have used was, I looked around to see what I had. I had an old grip fence for a table saw that went on there. You had the thing here you would tighten and the hook in the back. I just cut them off to that length I have, and I drilled a hole to fit this up here. So it goes right like that. Now I can screw it up and down. So I'll give you a couple measurements. Then you want to check this. When I first did it, I put this in there like that, very little sticking up, so then I can go up with it. I can go up, that much is down in there. That's a good ways. This, let me get a tape measure and get some measurements of this thing. So you have this one, it's going to be on the floor with this bump upward. You're going to put it like that. That's right way that is there. Then you need to cut your pipe. My pipe and everything is set up to this thickness. Now if you have something thinner, it'll be okay, because this, you see how much you can screw, this part comes up. You have a long ways to go. So if you cut it the size of the pipe I have, then you need to come up with a cross piece. A lot of times in those stores, they have what they call like the strapping pieces of metal. They're like long pieces. I'll give you a measurement on that. But you want about, say they're, I'd try to get like a 1/4 inch and maybe weld 3 of them, tack weld them together to make this. I just happen to have this piece that's so solid the way it is. It is really solid, but you don't want to just use one piece of metal going across. You want some of them put together. So that length for your cross piece is, it's about 19 1/8 inches. So you could make it 19 1/2. That way it'll stick out on both sides where those forks come up to lift it. So say 19 1/2 inches long, a piece you need. Then your pipe, you're going to make out of the smaller diameter pipe. This is the top part of the jack when it's used. And you'll notice down here on this end, it has a hole here and hole here, so you put the bolts through for the other piece where it slides into. You don't want to use this end. You want to use this end. So you're going to measure from this end down. You want it solid. You don't want no holes in it, because every little bit will help you. So let's see what that is. the exact measure of that pipe that you're going to cut, and I'm going to the top of the plate up to the bottom of this where it screws out, 20.5 inches. So you'll measure up on this pipe from the solid end 20.5 inches, put a line and cut it. You could cut it with a hacksaw or whatever. That will be this pipe. Then when you have that cut and you're going to you stand it down, say this was cut 20.5 inches, we would put this plate on the bottom, tack weld it to the pipe. Then on this top of the pipe we put this. Then you get them, like you're going to get somebody to weld it for you, one on that flat and one on this. There you go, that's it. And you'll have to, like I said, get your own cross piece. There's a lot of things you could use, but you want to make sure it's solid, that it ain't going to bend it up in while you put pressure on it. I would suggest at the welding shop they might have some strapping. They call it strapping or metal stock, probably at least 1 inch wide. This is a little under 2 inches wide. So if you could get like 2 inch and then have about 3 or 4 plates all the same length, one on top of the other, and have them just go across the edge here and there and tack weld them together, then that is going to be strong. Then drill that size hole you need for this right here, and then it sets down on top of there. That keeps that from slipping out once you have it under there. When you put it in, make sure it's straight both ways. Unscrew this. You'll have the bolt. You don't have to get a wrench. Unscrew it up like that. And take the weight. I take a little bit of the weight off. Then I go a little more to try to get the bike. The bike don't have to be perfectly straight because, as I said, you're going to have the straps on it. Make sure. I pick it up on the lift, the bike, to get it where it picks it up and it's holding it. I hurry up and put the straps on and tighten them. Then I go the rest of the way, put the pin on. Because like I said, mine, if you have that up on the lift and say the pin's under there, there's two different places. This is for the higher one. That's where I always have it. I never use it down at the other one. But if I have it up on the high one, I strap it down as soon as it gets off the ground a little bit. I strap it down tight, then I go clear up, put my pin in, then put this under. Now if I was to take this out, and I told on the other video, if I'd take this out and say I'm going to put it down, something comes up, I got to hurry up and leave. If I put it down to where the bike wheels are touching and I don't let that clear down and loosen the straps and let it go over on the kickstand, that hydraulic thing on there, I don't know, it's hydraulic jack. It's like a hydraulic jack. If you leave that up, even though the wheels are touching on the ground, that bleeds down. It's going to go down, and that bike's going to want to go left or right. If it goes left, it'll go in a kickstand. If it goes right, if you have it on that other side like I had it, it's going to go towards your bike. And it happened with the Suzuki, and it scarred the side cover, and I had to redo it. So when you put it down till the wheels just touch, take the straps off, hold on to the bike, open your thing to let it down, and put it over on the kickstand. But if you have it up and you have this jack under there, you can leave it up as long as you want to. I've had that on there, like I said, just about 2 weeks that I've been fooling with it now. I left it on there. I'm comfortable with it because I know all that weight ain't over on them 2 forks. Because if you look at it, you got that back part, that's the only thing holding it. Because if you try to pull on a bolt or something, you'll feel that bike bobbing up and down. And I thought, I don't like that. You know, I thought, there's no way. I got to do something. And I happened to have one of these, and I got it out and measured it up, and they said it'll work. And like I said, it's $55. You know, that's not cheap, but it's the best thing I had for it. I didn't have, I might have had some pipe. But if I'd had a pipe, I'd have still needed the bottom plate, you know, to make it spread the weight better. I didn't want just a pipe on the floor. I wouldn't have had this screw part. Wouldn't have had these bolts put on the side, because when I first made it, I did go and get a Crescent wrench every time, and I said, gotta be a better way. And then I had these there from it. I just welded them on. That's 2 handles, and like I said, you put this up here without this being welded up. You have this plate loose, you have this top piece loose, and if you don't have these, you got to get a Crescent wrench. So you're trying to get all this lined up and hold everything, where by welding the plate on here and the top, you can see it's just 1, 2, 3, 4 places. I just put a little spot weld on it to hold it, welded the bolts on. That plate's welded on, you pick it up with one hand. That way you can set it there, get it lined up, put your top on, and then move this back and forth, so that you want to make sure it's past both ends of the lift. Put it under there. That thing is solid. That's one of the best things I ever come up with, and I've never seen anybody else do it. I have seen guys, they're just showing this lift, and I've seen a couple of them put the bike up on there, and they're kind of pushing on it, showing you, you know, they don't have the straps under there. I would never do that, because you figure if that bike would slide off of there, and especially if you didn't have the straps on and you got it on the highest thing, just like I took that side cover off, there's oil in there. Now mine isn't a wet clutch, it's a dry clutch. So in the side of that casing that I took off where the clutch is, there's oil drips on my primary chain. It goes down and sucked back in the bike, but there's always oil there. As soon as you take that off, it goes right down over your lift where it's setting on. It goes down right on these. It sets, you can see there's marks. My lift sets here and here when that's up under it. This gets all coated with oil, and if that thing would start sliding, there ain't no way you're gonna hold it or catch it. So put the straps on. If you don't like their straps, pull straps, get some ratchet straps, but get them on there. As soon as you start lifting it, you get it up, get the wheel off just an inch or two, strap it down, keep it strapped down until you take it down, because believe me, if that thing would ever come off of there, man, you're really going to destroy your bike. You're going to get hurt, something like that. So that's a big warning on them, because that pump does bleed down. Mine does. Maybe you have one that wouldn't, but I wouldn't trust it. So Dave, I hope that answers your question. But that's a floor jack. They have other ones that don't have 2-piece or one big piece, and then you cut it off and you put it in permanently, but that's where you're going to dig into the floor. Maybe you have a cement floor and you need one. You can dig in there, and then you can attach it at the top, put it down, and then cement that around it to hold it. So it's a bigger pipe than this. Oh, it's a lot bigger, and it's solid, no holes in it. And it's for like, if you have a 2-story building and you're going to put in your basement, it would be good to go with one of them. They have all different sizes, but the one I like is this. Like I said, 55 bucks, and then get some cross pieces of some kind, and but make sure I'd get at least a 1/4 of an inch thick strapping to put across there, and I'd go with about 3 of them, because you need. Hope that helps you. That brace is worth every cent you're going to pay and put into it for that lift, because when that thing bobs, right away I said, my God, the bottom of that, all it's holding it really is that weld. And I think these lifts probably come out of China, so you have to be a little skeptical of it. I jack it up, I get that brace under there, you know, like I said, I start lifting it, I strap it down, and then once I get it up here above where I can get the pin in, put the pin in, I let it down, I hurry up and put the jack under it. I know it ain't going no place, it's solid. So, have a good day.